today I would like to share with you 10 tips that I found out during my journey so far on this 1 meal a day lifestyle. And I guess they will help you as well, so let me share them with you. And the first one is you need to make peace with yourself. And what do I mean by this? This is the process of discovering what it is in you that is resisting this. And when you have found out for yourself, and maybe you've gone through several different diet lifestyles and you have come up with this decision that this lifestyle is going to be for you, then still you're going to have parts in you that you have to bring to your conscious awareness, and to make sure that these parts that are still existing within you, that are fighting this approach, that they are not going to be a hindrance to your success. And for example, this can be some emotional issues that you are trying to cover with another snack or another meal, and this can be very subtle, and most of the times you will find that when you're not really hungry and you're still going to eat, that there is something in you that you need to face, and when you do it, it will be a positive change. It will be a kind of spiritual evolvement or a spiritual journey that you are going to facilitate through this approach of eating only once a day. And this can be great for personal development, and actually I think this is the number one reason why you should actually do the 1 meal a day diet, because it frees up so much of your hidden time that you, and also mental energy that you cover with another meal and another snack. So yeah, try to come up with answers to these parts in your psyche that are going to be a problem for you while you pursue this 1 meal a day lifestyle, and this will be much easier than when they still operate under the radar, so to speak. So that's my number one tip. And number two is more physical, and this is also very important, I've found. And whenever I do it, it's much easier throughout the day until I have my 1 meal. And this is doing fasted cardio first thing in the morning. And what it does is it releases free fatty acids into your bloodstream, and this will, with all the hormones that are released during the exercise, it will signal your body that there is enough energy available, and that you don't need a meal, and you will feel no hunger after your exercise. And this makes a huge difference in how much energy you have and how easy it is for you to wait with your meal until later in the day. So I recommend at least 20 minutes of like running. I prefer to do sprints. I do like 6 to 8 sprints they last maybe 20 seconds or 15, I don't know, I don't measure it, and then I walk the distance back to the beginning and I sprint again. So it's maybe 100 meters of sprint, walking back, sprinting again. And of course I do a warm-up for a few minutes, I jog, and then afterwards I also run and stretch, and this just releases so many free fatty acids into the bloodstream that you don't feel hungry at all afterwards and feel very energized and awake. And the next thing I do, and I also think this is tip number 3, is meditation. Right after exercise, I recommend, or not right, but during the course of the morning, do meditation. Do at least 15 minutes of concentration or focus meditation, where you have a sensation, a physical object, or also a mental object or a sensation that you focus on. Most people like to focus on the sensation of the breath at the tip of the nose. What I like to do is I just put my fingers together, put them on my legs, and then concentrate on the feelings where the fingers touch each other, and have that as a meditation object. And over again you come back to focusing on that object. And what it does, it just makes you very aware of all these mental doubts that are coming up, of why you should stop the fast, of why it's better to eat 3 times a day. And I mean, you have enough to read on the internet that says eating the 1 meal a day is not good, and so these doubts will naturally be also in your mind, and just meditating will make you aware of them, make you aware of what they are, and that they are only thoughts, and it's very powerful. And this is not a thing that will change after doing it once, but it's a long-term thing, and it will, this mindfulness and this concentration and focus will ripple through into your everyday life. And when you make it a habit to be mindful also outside of formal meditation, it will make a huge impact. So that's tip number 3. Tip number 4 is again physical and has to do with your energy levels, and that is drinking coffee or tea, green tea, black tea, because these have compounds in them that also release free fatty acids into the bloodstream and increase your perception of energy, and just make it more easy throughout the fast. I know some people, and that's also something I had to struggle with, is the idea of becoming dependent on caffeine. Caffeine is not the only substance in those drinks that is responsible for the increased perception of energy, but it will make you dependent on those drinks. And of course, when you stop drinking it, you will go through a period where you have to struggle with headaches, maybe even mild depression. So I didn't like the idea of getting dependent on yet another thing, but if you look at it from what it actually does, it's a positive habit, so to speak. There are only positive side effects to drinking green tea or coffee so far. We know that the studies show increased lifespan, or many other things. I cannot go into them now, but basically the side effects are only positive if you don't overdo it, of course. And so it's like being addicted to showering every day, which prevents you from getting sick from some bacteria. So you wouldn't say that you are dependent on something that's positive. So get over that internal barrier of getting addicted to another thing. It will greatly increase your chances of succeeding on this 1 meal a day approach. So drink coffee or green tea. And what I recommend is not drinking too much at once, so don't have a big cup of coffee and drink it once. That will make you jittery or don't feel so well. Spread your caffeine intake out throughout your fast. And I like to go with green tea because it's generally lower in caffeine and just gives me better mental clarity, and I prefer it over coffee. Tip number 5 is to make your meal as palatable as possible. When you're eating only 1 meal a day, you have to look forward to it. So whatever it is you like to eat, if it's high carb, low carb, high fat, low protein, whatever, make this your 1 meal, whatever you prefer. And of course, you will also want to strive for maximum nutrition, maximum healthfulness, but I've noticed this is a thing that comes secondary. It's natural to doing this 1 meal a day diet where you are kind of on the edge of what your body is capable of, and you want to just feel your best all around. The fast already makes you feel so good that you just don't opt for bad food in your 1 meal a day. You just, at least in my experience, that's not what's going to happen. You will want the highest quality, best food that makes you feel your best. But do whatever you want at first, and I think you will naturally find that you will go towards this meal where you have your healthiest foods in the meal. And tip number 6 is, if you're just starting out, you have to make a commitment. Stick to it for at least 3 weeks. If you're not used to fasting, it will be difficult. You probably won't feel your best, and you will be hungry, and it's unavoidable, but you have to make this commitment and judge this diet not earlier than 3 weeks of constantly eating one meal. What you can do is you can start with like a 3-hour feeding period where you don't have to get everything condensed into one hour long meal, because that's probably too much for your digestion. It has to adapt. So give yourself time over these 3 weeks to get your eating window shorter and shorter until you maybe are arriving at 1.5 hours. And don't overstuff yourself in the one meal. Like, when you feel like this is enough, it's enough. And maybe if you really feel that it was way too low in calories, then within these 3 hours have something else again. And this will greatly increase your chance of succeeding in the long term, I guess. And tip number 7 is, if you feel hungry or if you feel so bored and you feel so outside of your eating period, so drawn to eating something, and you find yourself in front of the fridge or looking in the fridge and just so close to breaking it, then have something like celery or a salad. I know it sounds pathetic, but it will solve your problem. It will give you this insight that what you are looking for in that moment you cannot find in food. The snacking on those things will give you something to do for a while. You will eat maybe for 10 minutes, but it will hardly be any calories. If it's like raw salad, celery, raw cabbage or something. But it will show you that what you were looking for is not found in the food. It's a hard process, it's difficult to accept, but you will find that you will actually feel better after that than eating something high in calories and breaking your fast and then beating yourself up afterwards for it, and you feel sad that you didn't stick to what you set out to do with this 1 meal a day plan. And you will not have these sugar crashes after, or you will not have a rise in blood sugar at all after eating those low calorie foods. But it will give you this kind of satisfaction inside that, yeah, you could eat something and still feel good afterwards and not really break your fast. And over time, this will, I think, solve your issue with snacking. Tip number 8 is to make your fasting period productive. And yeah, this is just obvious. You don't want to sit there doing nothing. For most people, that's easy. They have their jobs and eat maybe in the evening after the work of the day is finished, and that's probably optimal, and you felt productive, and kind of food is the reward for that. So I highly recommend that you keep active and you engage yourself in different activities and make the end of your fast, also these last maybe 2 or 3 hours that might be difficult, fill them with something productive as well. And the last thing I recommend you do before your meal is work out. Do some strength-based exercises, and this will also help with nutrient assimilation of your meal. You will be much more insulin sensitive, and your muscles and your organs will be primed to pick up all those nutrients when you've just worked out shortly before it. And tip number 9, eating your meal in order of digestibility. That means eat something raw and easily digestible first, like have fruits first, and also there sort them from the most watery to the most dense fruits, and then go on to have the heavier foods at the end of your meal. So structure it that your digestion is starting with these raw foods and enzyme-rich foods that are going through your system quickly and easily. And then you have like 20 minutes later the foods that are more difficult to digest, like the lentils and beans and grains and nuts and seeds. And my last tip number 10, is actually very important in the long term. You cannot think of this as a diet. Eating 1 meal per day, you have to transcend this. You cannot constantly all day think about food and make this your #1 priority in life. If you are sticking to this long term, you will notice that more and more eating and this one meal will just be the optimal lifestyle to support you in whatever you want to do beyond having a good routine, having a good diet. So you have to see this as a spiritual and personal development strategy. Eating one meal a day will just free up so much of your mental energy that you can focus on your projects and just transcend this idea of dieting at all, because you will find after several months that you have found an optimal protocol that will keep you healthy, low in body weight, mentally sharp, and just overall happy and healthy. So what are you going to do now? You have figured this out, and yeah, let this be your vantage point from where you are going to venture out into other projects, into other lifestyle things. It will free up so much time. You can focus on personal development, if that's your thing, or if it's not, then you surely will find that this diet will free you up to do whatever you want with your free time and make it productive. And what I want to say is, don't spend your day thinking about the food you can not have right now, and fill it with something else. Find your passion, find your meaning in life. It's not out there, you have to construct it. So that's what this diet will allow you to do. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. That were my 10 tips, what I found out so far since I've been doing this for a couple of months. I'm always happy to hear from you what you think about this, so let me know in the comments. Please like this, share it, and see you in the next video. Goodbye.